1789, Paris. A mob storms the Bastille, the ultimate symbol of royal tyranny, expecting to liberate hundreds of political prisoners. They find 7 inmates, 4 forgers, 2 lunatics, and a man whose family put him there for being difficult at dinner. The French Revolution has begun. 1917, Petrograd. A bald radical named Lenin steps off a train at Finland Station with a sealed notebook and a 3-word plan: peace, land, and bread. Within 6 years, he will be dying of strokes in a country ravaged by civil war, famine, and secret police, having built the blueprint for the most efficient totalitarian state in history. Both revolutions promised to delete the past and install a perfect future. Both delivered exactly one part of that promise: the deleting. After that, things went sideways. Spectacularly, violently, almost comically sideways. We are not asking which revolution had better posters. We are not asking whose anthem slaps harder. It is La Marseillaise, sorry. We are asking the grim question: which revolution screwed up harder? Which one betrayed its own soul more completely? Because overthrowing a tyrant is the easy part. Not becoming one yourself, that is the test. Let's go. Act 1. Who sold the better lie? Every revolution begins with a document, something beautiful, on paper, that makes people willing to die. The French gave us the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. August 1789. Men are born and remain free and equal in rights. It declared sovereignty to be in the nation, not the king. It guaranteed freedom of speech, religion, and due process. It was Enlightenment thinking distilled into legal poetry. There was one issue. The document said men. It meant men. Olympe de Gouges wrote a Declaration of the Rights of Woman and submitted it in 1791. For her trouble, she was guillotined in 1793. And 800,000 enslaved people in the French colonies? The Declaration did not mention them. When enslaved people in Saint-Domingue took "all men are born free" literally and revolted, it became the Haitian Revolution, a separate event the French had not exactly planned for. The Russians had a slogan that was less poetry, more logistics: peace, land, and bread. 3 words: simple, effective. The Bolsheviks negotiated peace with Germany. They announced land redistribution. For a brief moment, it looked like it might work. Then came the Russian Constituent Assembly, the first freely elected legislature in Russian history. It convened on January 18, 1918. The Bolsheviks had won only about a quarter of the seats. The assembly met for 13 hours. 13. Then, Bolshevik soldiers shut it down, and it never met again. Russia's first experiment with democracy lasted less than a single day. The score. France's dream was naive. Russia's dream was cynical. France genuinely thought that if you remove the king, goodness would naturally flourish. Russia believed goodness had to be engineered by a party elite. France screwed up by promising too much freedom. Russia screwed up by redefining freedom as obedience. The French lie was a tragedy of hope. The Russian lie was a strategy of power. Act 2. Who killed their king better? If you are going to have a revolution, you have to deal with the guy in the crown. In January 1793, the French put Louis XVI on trial. He was allowed a lawyer. He was allowed to defend himself. The National Convention debated his fate for days. The vote was close: 361 for death, 319 for imprisonment or exile. When they executed him, they did it in public, in the Place de la Révolution. He gave a speech forgiving his killers before the drums drowned him out. It was a ritual, a public statement. The monarchy is dead. In July 1918, the Bolsheviks woke up Tsar Nicholas II and his entire family in the middle of the night. They told them they were being moved for their safety. They led them into a basement in Yekaterinburg. Then, a squad of Cheka secret police walked in and opened fire. They did not just kill the Tsar, they killed his wife. They killed his 4 daughters. They killed his sick teenage son. They bayoneted the survivors. Then they dissolved the bodies in acid and threw them down a mine shaft. There was no trial, no debate, no public statement until much later. The screw-up. France killed a symbol. Russia killed a family. The French execution was brutal, but it followed a twisted kind of law. The Russian execution was a gangland hit. It set the tone for the entire Soviet century. Things happen in basements, and nobody talks about them. France screwed up by making a martyr. Russia screwed up by making a monster of itself. Act 3. Who did terror better? Pro tip: if your revolution needs a committee of public safety, you are probably not safe. The French reign of terror lasted from 1793 to 1794. The guillotine, designed with wonderful irony to be humane, was extraordinarily busy. The Revolutionary Tribunal in Paris processed as many as 71 beheadings in a single hour. They killed aristocrats, priests, scientists, poets, nuns, and revolutionaries. At least 17,000 were officially executed, and perhaps another 10,000 died in prison. Across France, the total may have reached 40,000. But here's the thing: it was chaotic, it was hysterical, it was visible. You knew why you were being arrested, usually, and you were executed in public. The Russian Red Terror was not a panic, it was a policy. Lenin did not want to just scare the opposition. He wanted to liquidate entire classes of people. His actual order reads, "Hang, and make sure that the hanging takes place in full view of the people. No fewer than 100 known kulaks, rich men, bloodsuckers." The Cheka did not need trials. They had quotas. The Red Terror alone killed somewhere between 100,000 and 200,000, and that was just the warm-up. The Russian Civil War killed as many as 10 million from combat, famine, and disease. The famine of 1921 to 22 killed approximately 5 million. People in the Volga region resorted to cannibalism. The verdict: the French terror was a fever. It burned hot, it made the patient crazy, and then it broke. The Russian terror was a cancer. It was systematic, industrial, and it metastasized into the very structure of the state. France screwed up by letting the mob rule. Russia screwed up by institutionalizing the mob. Act 4. Who ate their own children faster? Revolutions are famous for cannibalism, but the speed and thoroughness vary. In France, the revolution ate its leaders in a specific order. First the moderates, the Girondins, then the radicals, Danton and Desmoulins, and finally, the architect of the terror himself, Robespierre. When he was arrested, he tried to shoot himself but only shattered his jaw. He spent his final hours lying on a table in the committee room, silenced by the very system he had built. The next day, he was guillotined. And that was it. The terror ended. The Thermidorian reaction happened. The fever broke. The country took a breath. The French Revolution had a stop button. It was located on Robespierre's neck. In Russia, the cannibalism never stopped. Stalin did not just kill his rivals, he erased them. Old Bolsheviks who had fought alongside Lenin, Kamenev, Zinoviev, Bukharin were forced to confess to impossible crimes in show trials. Then they were shot. Stalin purged the army, killing most of his own generals right before the Second World War. He purged the writers. He purged the scientists. He purged the secret police chiefs who had carried out the previous purges. The Great Purge of 1936 to 38 saw between 750,000 and 1.2 million executions. The Gulag imprisoned millions. The Russian Revolution deleted the stop button. It created a system where paranoia was the only survival strategy. France created a monster that lived for a year. Russia created a monster that lived until 1953, and arguably, its ghost is still breathing. Act 5. Who left the worse hangover? Here is where the comparison gets complicated, because revolutions do not end when the shooting stops. They echo. The French Revolution, for all its horror, produced ideas that lasted. The Declaration of the Rights of Man became a foundation document for modern human rights. The Napoleonic Code standardized civil law across much of Europe. The metric system, born from the same rationalist impulse that created an absurd 10-day workweek nobody wanted, is now used by virtually every country on Earth. France went through several more revolutions, 2 empires, and 5 republics before arriving at its current form of government. It was a disaster, but a productive disaster. The revolution failed spectacularly at governing, but it succeeded permanently at ideas. The Russian Revolution also produced results at a staggering scale. The Soviet Union industrialized a largely agrarian society in decades, won a world war, and launched the first human into space. but the cost was measured in millions of lives. The Civil War, the famines, the purges, the Gulag. The state that was supposed to liberate the proletariat became the proletariat's jailer. And when the Soviet Union finally collapsed in 1991, 74 years after the revolution, the country it left behind was not the workers' paradise Lenin had advertised. It was a society that had to rebuild almost everything, including the basic concept of civic trust. France's revolution gave the world a vocabulary: liberté, égalité, fraternité. Russia's revolution gave the world a warning: the verdict. Which revolution screwed up harder? If screwing up means betraying your own stated principles in the most ironic way possible, France takes it. They wrote the most beautiful statement of human rights in history, then excluded women, kept their colonies enslaved, invented a machine to efficiently kill dissenters, executed the man who argued against executions using the very method he condemned, and concluded the whole project by crowning an emperor. The French Revolution is a Greek tragedy performed by a committee. If screwing up means the sheer scale of human suffering between promise and delivery, Russia takes it by an order of magnitude that is not even close. 10 million dead in the Civil War, 5 million in the famine, hundreds of thousands in the purges, millions in the Gulag. The revolution promised bread and delivered decades of shortage. It promised peace and fought a civil war. It promised freedom and built one of the most controlled societies in human history. France's screw-up was like a car crash, violent, loud, and over. Russia's screw-up was like pouring concrete into the engine. The machine kept running, but it was broken forever. France screwed up faster. Russia screwed up bigger. France screwed up with more style. Russia screwed up with more consequences. Both revolutions proved the same thing. Tearing down a system is easy. Building a better one is the hardest thing humans have ever tried to do. The French Revolution executed the man who argued against executions. The Russian Revolution dissolved democracy after 13 hours. One gave us the metric system. The other gave us the space race. History's most expensive lessons, and we are still paying tuition.
But here is the difference that matters. France eventually got the republic they wanted. Russia is still waiting.